Yeah, good morning again. And today's topic is reproductive system. As far as the insect world is concerned, they are extremely successful on this planet because they can sexually produce the offsprings, and also they can as well reproduce through asexual methods. That's very much interesting. That's the reason they are highly successful. Not necessarily the males and females should unite so that the female will lay the eggs. Not necessary in all the insects, all the times. And similarly, the insects are also extremely successful because the number of offsprings in each generation is huge in number. There are some insects which lay more than 1,000 eggs, sometimes even 2,000 eggs. If you look into the insects, and especially the immatures, the immature stage in holometabola, which is nothing but larva or caterpillar. The immature stage in the hemimetabola, which is nothing but nymph. Immatures, we call them as immatures because they are not matured as far as the reproductive system is concerned. That's the reason we call them as immatures. They are not sexually mature. And sometimes, in some cases, even the adult, after the last moult of the nymph, which becomes adult, even the newly emerged adult may not be sexually mature. Sometimes they may undergo some kind of diapause, they may require few days for the development of the reproductive system to the fullest extent possible. So that's how the insects are extremely successful. They are dominant because they can sexually reproduce and also asexually reproduce through various methods. And also they lay more number of eggs. If you take the structure of the reproductive system in male or female, so there is always an internal genitalia, which we are going to discuss, and also external genitalia, which is actually seen outside. So there is an internal genitalia and also external genitalia. And always, whether it's a male or female, there's a pair of gonads, testis in case of male and ovary in case of females. So these gonads will have some kinds of ducts, and these ducts unite to form a common oviduct, common duct. And also, both in male and also female, there are some accessory glands which are aiding or helping in various purposes. So with this brief background, we will try to understand the female reproductive system first, or male reproductive system first. So this is how the male reproductive system looks like, and usually it is on the ventral side. And this male reproductive system, they have a pair of gonads, and these gonads we call them as testes. So there's a pair of gonads, and these gonads we call them as testes. It's a pair of left and right, and these testes will have a connection that's called vas deferens. It's a duct, a pipe kind of thing. So a pair of gonads, we call them as testes, connected to a pipe. That pipe we call them as vas deferens. the left and right side vas difference, the smaller pipe will unite to form a bigger pipe. That's called common duct, which is nothing but ejaculatory duct. So there's a pair of accessory glands as well. There's a pair of accessory glands as well. This is the internal structure as far as the male reproductive system is concerned, but outside, so it opens through edegus, a penis kind of structure, and clasping structure in somewhere. It actually it is going to held up with female. So that's the external genitalia. So now we'll focus more on the internal genitalia. The first is testis. So there's a pair of testis, and again within the testis, you will see a lot of number of follicles or small testis tubes. So there are number of follicles. There are number of follicles inside. This also can be called as a testis tubes. There are number of follicles inside, and all these number of small follicle is actually connected with a small pipe. And these small pipe unite to form a vas efferens. Vas. So these testes, as I told you, that they are actually lies in the visceral cavity, and testes will have a number of follicles or testis tubes. So these testis tubes, follicle testis tubes will have a small pipe, and these small pipes together forming a vas efferens inside. And this entire testis is covered with some kind of sheath, so that all these follicles, all these testis tubes are united. Looks like a big structure. And these testis tubes, which are joined with vas efferens, the small pipes, we call them as vas efferens. These are the small pipes. These are all the small pipes from the follicles. It's called vas efferens. So these all small vas efferences united to form a vas deferens. Vas deferens is nothing but a duct. So all these testes discharging the sperm or spermatozoa into the lateral duct. These lateral ducts are nothing but vas deferens. You can see here the vas deferens at the posterior side is actually becoming a bulge pipe-like structure. A vesicle kind of structure or balloon kind of structure. That is called seminal vesicle. This is the place where the sperm is stored for some time before it is being discharged into the female. So the testis will have a number of follicles or testis tubes, and each testis tube or follicle will have a small connective structure that is nothing but vas efferens. And all these vas efferences coming together and attaching to a pipe called vas deferens. That's a long pipe. That's called a lateral duct. These vas deferens at the end, at the end of the system, it is going to bulge like a vesicle kind of thing, a balloon kind of thing. That is called seminal vesicle. That is the place where the semen is stored for some time before it is being discharged into the female. And the seminal vesicle, the purpose of the seminal vesicle is not only for storing the sperm for some time, but also sometimes they have epithelial cells which actually secretes nutrients. nutrients for the maintenance and nourishment of the sperm. The seminal vesicle, the epithelial cells will actually secrete some kind of nutrients for the maintenance of the sperm cells. Next, we will discuss about the ejaculatory duct, which is a common duct. So, vas difference together unite at the end, forming the ejaculatory duct as nothing but a common duct. And ejaculatory duct is actually the last point of the male reproductive system, which is ending at the edagus or penis, which is actually external structure. And this male reproductive system also have a accessory glands. You can see here a pair of accessory glands. So the pair of accessory glands are extremely important because they secrete some kind of materials. They secrete some kind of materials, and that material is useful for the maintenance of the sperm, for the formation of the final sperm. Spermatophore we call them as from the spermatozoa because it is just before it is being ejected out. So accessory glands are extremely important, and in some actually it is called as a mushroom glands, for example in case of cockroach and praying mantids, because they look like a mushroom shape. And in all the cases their secretion is extremely important for the maintenance of the sperm. It is basically for the formation of the spermatophore, the final form of the sperm, and also nourishment and giving some kind of nutrients, and finally transferring from male to female. So this is all about the internal genitalia as far as the male is concerned. But however, we will try to look how the sperm are being generated, how the sperm are being produced. Then let us go into the minute structure of follicles. I try to expand the follicle structure here. If you look into the structure of the follicle, this is actually vasa and the small pipe. From distal to anterior end. This is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. Naturally, at the end, there are always a primordial cells, the base cells, which are giving out the sperm, a spermatozoa. So this follicle can be divided into zones based on the development of the sperm, based on the stage of the development of the sperm. The last point is germarium. The germarium containing primordial germ cells. And next to germarium is zone of growth. This zone of the growth, actually spermatogonia are primordial germ cells. Primordial germ cells in the male and primordial germ cells in the female. The primordial germ cells in the male, we call them as a spermatogonia. They are the undifferentiated cells. That is the where actually the sperm cells are being produced, generated, both in mitosis and meiosis division. So next to the germarium is the zone of growth. In this, the primordial germ cells will increase in size and undergo repeated mitosis to form the spermatocytes. And the third one is zone of maturation. This is the zone of division or maturation. So here the spermatocytes undergo meiosis to form the spermatids. So mitotic division, then followed by the meiosis division. The last part is actually spermatogonia, which is nothing but the primordial germ cells, undifferentiated primordial germ cell. Primordial germ cells are nothing but mother cells. That is the place from where everything is generated, everything is produced. So the primordial germ cells will increase the size in the zone of growth and also increase in number. Because of mitotic division. Then in the zone of maturation, so the spermatocytes will undergo meiosis to form spermatids. Spermatids are nothing but small sperm. Spermatid is nothing but small sperm particles. So the last stage is zone of transformation. Transformation is nothing but spermatids transforming into spermatozoa. There's no big physiological process actually, and simply a transformation into the spermatozoa, a size. So entire the follicle, a sperm tube, can be divided into 4 zones based on the cell development. The last one is germarium, followed by zone of growth, then zone of maturation and zone of transformation. This is how the sperm is being produced in the follicles. And from vas efferens, the spermatids, which are transformed into spermatozoa, are being released into the vas efferens, from there vas deferens, then from there to seminal vesicle, and finally into the penis. Then let us look into the structure of female reproductive system. It is the same, a similar kind of structure, like a pair of gonads, then lateral pipes, 2 lateral pipes together form a common pipe. This common pipe opens into external environment, and inside there's a pair of accessory glands which are helping either for sperm or either for eggs. And in case of females also, if you look into the internal genitalia of the female insect, there's a pair of ovaries, pair of gonads. These gonads, we call them as ovaries in case of female, and we call them as a sperm, a testis in case of males. So a pair of ovaries, and a lateral duct, and the lateral duct and lateral ducts united to form a common duct, and there is a chamber as far as females are concerned, and also there is a spermatheca which receives the sperm from the male and keep it inside, and a pair of accessory glands. Similar to the males, here also they have a pair of accessory glands. The external genitalia, like when you look into the male, we have seen the edegus or the penis kind of structure in the males, and also a clasping structure which actually catch hold of female. So as far as the females are concerned, the external genitalia, a kind of a chamber. That chamber, it's called as a vagina, which is actually opening in between 8th and 9th abdominal sternum. And also a bursa copulatrix, nothing but a copulatory pouch. That is basically for the reception of the sperm through penis. So these are the external genitalia, but we will now enter into the details of the internal genitalia. The most important is ovary. So similar to the structure of the testis in case of males, and here also in case of ovary, a pair of gonads present in female reproductive system. There are a number of small tubes again. Those small tubes, we call them as ovarioles. So these ovary also lies in the abdomen, and they have a number of egg tubes. These egg tubes, we call them as ovaries. Similarly, in case of testes, they have a smaller test tubes. These testis tubes is called as a follicles there. And in case of females, these small egg tubes called as a ovaries. So look into the structure of ovariole here. So each ovariole is actually enveloped by a cellular wall, and they have a terminal filament here. They have a terminal filament. Basically, this terminal filament is used for attaching to the exoskeleton inside. So internal body wall, so that it will not float. It is actually attached to some place. Sorry. So they have a terminal filament, then the egg tube, then the supporting stalk. So this supporting stalk is nothing but a pedicel, which is a small tube, the end part of the egg tube. So similar to the testis, in case of testis, we have seen the follicle structure. Is a follicle, and again, that follicle will have a small tube that is called vas efferens. And these vas efferents together, they form as a vas deferens, is nothing but a lateral duct. Similarly, in case of ovary also, they have a small pedicel. And all these pedicels unite to form a lateral oviduct. So let us go into the structure of other things. So if you look into the other things like lateral oviduct, so this is the lateral oviduct, is a small pipe, and that is where all these pedicels of ovarioles are open. And these lateral oviduct together they form as a common oviduct. And this common oviduct will open into the vagina, which is a chamber-like structure. And in case of females, they also have a special structure called spermatheca. They have a very special structure called spermatheca. It's very natural. They need to have a special structure called spermatheca because they have to take the sperm of the male inside to the females and keep it for some time. That is the reason. The female reproductive system has got a special structure called spermatheca. So this is a sac-like structure. Basically, it is used for storing the sperm until the eggs are fertilized. And they also have an accessory glands similar to the males. And these accessory glands, a pair of accessory glands, so they produce a kind of chemicals material which is used for attaching eggs to each other and also attaching eggs to the substratum where they are going to lay the eggs. In case of cockroaches, for example, these accessory glands, they produce some kind of frothy kind of material which is forming a ootheca wherein eggs are inside. And in case of grasshoppers, these accessory glands produce some kind of frothy kind of materials which are actually used for preparation of the egg pods inside the soil. So it means the accessory glands, as far as the females are concerned, they have a very big role. So their secretions are extremely useful for at the time of laying of the eggs, either in attaching to the substrate or attaching.
Sir, please unmute your audio, sir.
Yes, the secretions from these accessory glands of the females are actually very, very important because these secretions are very useful for attachment of the eggs together and also attachment of the eggs to the substrate so that eggs will not fall from the leaf surfaces. And in cockroaches, their secretions are very helpful in formation of some kind of a protective structure is nothing but a ootheca. And in case of grasshoppers, they secrete some kind of the accessory glands. The females, they secrete some kind of frothy materials which are useful for formation of the egg parts when they lay the eggs inside the soil. And in some wasps and bees, they also secrete some kind of poisonous substances for defense purpose. So that's how the accessory glands play a very, very important role. So let us now go into the structure of the ovariole. So this is how the structure of ovariole, and similarly ovariole also can be divided into zones based on the development of the cells, based on the growth, based on the development of each cell, germ cells. So this is how it looks like. There's a terminal filament and there's a germarium. That is the place where, a germarium is the place where a primordial germs are located, undivided mother cells are placed, and they have to undergo a kind of mitotic division so that the numbers will increase, size should increase, and finally it should undergo the meiosis division to finally produce the germ cells, which will actually go out of this ovariole. In this case, through pedicel, a small pipe-like kind of structure. So this ovariole is a double-layered cellular wall, have got a double-layered cellular wall. So they have a three parts, like I told you, the filament, the entire egg tube, then finally the pedicel. So in the egg tubes, this egg tube can be divided into two zones. One is germarium, the distal germarium, and the proximal vital area. So germarium is the place the primordial germ cells are there. So these primordial germ cells will undergo division, mitosis followed by meiosis division, then the eggs are produced. Vital is the place where the deposition of the yolk happens in the eggs. Yolk is nothing but a nutrient materials. Yolk will have a lot of protein, lipids, and many materials, which is very, very vital for the hatching of the eggs into the nymphs or larvae, the young one. So yolk is the nutrient materials. The yolk deposition happens here in the vital area. So germarium have got a primordial undifferentiated germ cells. So which will, the undifferentiated germ cells, undifferentiated cells, some cells will be converted as a germ cells, some cells will be converted as a nerve cells, some cells will be converted as a follicle cells. But in this case, as far as the eggs are concerned, so eggs need to have a lot of nutrient materials. So that is the reason at the germarium, which is actually a place where all the mother cells are located, these undifferentiated germ cells can be divided into three cells based on the type of cell which is coming out. The germ cells are developing into oogonia, are the egg cells. And the second one is nurse cells or nutritive cells. And third one is follicle cells. So this is how the structure look like. Then the second zone is zone of growth or vitellarium. This is the place where the yolk is deposited inside the egg. This is the place where the egg cells grow into a bigger size and attain their maturity. And this is the place where the egg is enclosed in a layer of follicular epithelium, which actually secretes the eggshell or chorion or the eggshell outer. So this is the place of growth. A lot of things happens. One is egg cells grow into a bigger size, and also egg cells will have a kind of outer tough layer, nothing but chorion. Everything happens in the vital area. So that outer shell, which is nothing but chorion, is just because of the follicle cells. So as I told you that the germarium will have a undifferentiated germ cells. There are three types of germ cells. One is the germ cell. That germ cell is giving eggs. The second one is nurse cells. These nurse cells are nothing but the nutrient cells, are nothing but the nutritive cells, are nothing but the cells which are actually producing the yolk, a nutrient material. And the third one is follicle cells. These follicle cells are actually responsible for the production of the eggshell outside. So that's the beauty of this, the entire female reproductive system as far as the insects are concerned. So remember, there are two zones. One is germarium and the second one is vitellarium. Germarium is the place, the primordial germ cells. There are three kinds of primordial germ cells. One is germ cell, nurse cell, and follicle cell. And the next zone is zone of growth or vitellarium. This is the place where the eggs grow into bigger size, and also eggs develop a kind of eggshell, a chorion, because with the help of follicle cells. As I discussed with you, that the primordial germ cells are three kinds. One is egg cells, one is nutritive cells, third one is follicle cells. Nutritive cells are nothing but nurse cells. Depend upon the presence or absence of the nurse cells, and also their arrangement within the egg tube. The ovariole can be divided into two major types. One is peniostic and meriostic. Simple, no confusion. Peniostic and meriostic. In the peniostic ovariole types, the nurse cells are absent. The nurse cells are absent. It means there are only two kinds of cells. One is germ cells and the second one is follicular cells. There are no special nurse cells. And the ovariole in which the nurse cells are absent is called peniostic nurse cells. Peniostic ovarioles. In that kind, the nourishment, the nutritive supply is coming from the follicle cells. And the second category is meriostic ovariole. Meriostic ovariole is one which is having a special nurse cells. Special nurse cells are there for supply of all these nutritive materials from the developing oocyte. But again, within the meriostic ovariole, we have two kinds of meriostic ovarioles based on the arrangement of these nurse cells, whether they are at the end and supplying the nutritive material through a pipe, or whether they are actually mixed up with oocyte. If the nurse cells are present only in the terminal part, all the nurse cells are only present in the terminal part, but they have a connections to each oocyte through some kind of cytoplasmic connections. That kind of arrangement is called teletrophic meiotic ovariole. And the second category is polytrophic meiotic ovariole, in which the nurse cells will not stay in the terminal part, but nurse cells also will come along with the oocytes and they mix each other. The nurse cells accompany the oocyte within the follicle, even till the vital area. So that's how there are two kinds of ovarioles. One is panaeostic and the second one is meiotic. In the panaeostic ovariole, the nurses are absent. It means the nutritive material is being taken from the follicular epithelia. And the second category is meiotic. Within the meiotic, there are two kinds. One is telotrophic and polytrophic. The telotrophic means the nurse cells are always in the last terminal filament in the germarium part. So but the nutritive material from the nurse cells is being supplied to each oocyte with the help of some cytoplasmic connections. That is called telotrophic. And the second category in the meiotic is polytrophic meiotic ovariole, in which nurse cells are accompanying each oocyte from the germarium to vitellarium. So the few nurse cells are always along with the oocyte for the supply of nutritive materials. So with this, we will complete about the discussion of female and male reproductive systems. And then most probably tomorrow we'll have another class to complete the types of reproduction. And in that, we will actually